All right, it's Zoom and Wine. We are here every Wednesday night, and we're enjoying being able to bring an audience together from all over the place and get some great wine in your glass, talk about some different topics. And we cover the wine world in our topicality. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Spain. But just as I have the current calendar up, I would love to point out a couple of things. First, in the past week, we decided to terminate the Zoom for next Wednesday on Napa. We will not be going forward with that particular effort. We were going to open up some crazy wines, and it just didn't get quite enough support to be able to do that. And decided to cut my losses, and we'll just let people know in advance. And I need the Wednesday night to myself. I've got some big plans, so it made it very easy for me to make that decision. Often, Wednesday, done at 8 o'clock, go out to dinner, have a fun time. But we got a special reservation available to us next Wednesday, so we're going to meet up with some friends in Los Angeles, beautiful restaurant, and take advantage of a rare Wednesday night off. But coming out into the future, we have a couple of really exciting tastings with Zalto. And the whole idea behind these tastings is that you can just join us with a Burgundy kit, or you can buy up and get a Zalto hand-blown crystal wine glass shipped. These are just works of art, and you will see what I mean when you're holding it in your hand. It even feels like an extension of your arm. I mean, it's really just beautiful the way it feels in the fingers, the smells in the glass. They're beautiful to look at. They are a special glass, and so we're pouring special wines. We're going to taste some great Burgundy, taste some great Bordeaux. We're going to do those back to back. They are two different glasses, and they have different, they're very purposeful glasses. They're made for the category. And then we're going to go out after that with an amazing, and I'm going to ask everyone to think about joining us for a night with Rioja. This should be available now on our Learn About Wine website. And to get there, you click in and you go all the way through just by clicking through to learnaboutwine.com. I have actually been hired by Rioja to produce this Zoom. That is why we are able to offer an incredible price value, because we're not just tasting any old Rioja wines. We're going to be tasting some really top stuff from the best in the business, the best producers. To be able to fit that all in, we're starting off with an amazing rosé from Muga. We're going to arguably one of the best white wines of Rioja, Marqués de Meriera, the Capellana. And then we're going to do the Cune Crianza to talk about the category. We'll taste a great La Rioja Alta 2015 Reserva from, it's called Viña Ordanza, 96 pointer. We're going to have royalty on this Zoom. The Zoom is going to be co-hosted by myself and the president of Rioja USA. And she's going to be on the Zoom with us, dropping amazing pieces of information, history, texture, conversation. Plus, we're going to have all of these winemakers on the Zoom with us. Now, many of them will be recorded, as we normally do because of the time change. But to be able to taste with the owner of López de Heredia, this is one of my favorite producers in the world. It's a lot of people's favorite producers in the world. It is an amazing winery. She's an amazing individual, a great story. We've got the 2011 Tardonia in the lineup. Then we're going to finish with the Cune. It's called Imperial. Now, they have separate lines. This is the Grand Reserva 2016, just got 98 points. So yeah, we're serious about presenting some great wines from Rioja. And that is the next big effort that we've got on tap. And we enjoy producing these things, but they do take a lot of our bandwidth. And we're still having great results. We're doing quite a few people from all over the country, and I love that. I can't do that in LA. I can't get you to come and join me in LA for my live events, but they are picking up. The live events are doing well. We just had an amazing dinner last week with Chateau Petrus. We're continuing to innovate some really amazing gatherings, opening some crazy wines. But I have a really fun Pinot Noir tasting coming called the Pinot Taste Off. And it's coming April 1st in Los Angeles. If you happen to be in town, 24 Pinot Noirs for 22 guests, 4 regions, 6 flights. One of the glasses is always going to be from Santa Barbara. One of the glasses is always going to be from Northern Cal, meaning Sonoma. One of the glasses is always going to be from Oregon, and one will always be from an import. And the list of wines is sensational. I just don't tell you which glass they're in. We vote on which one you like the best. We take guesses on which one is which. Even if you can just nail the place, that's a big deal. And it's a lot of fun to do it that way. The tickets are doing very well. We should sell that out, but I kind of came to the market with that a little late. So I'm giving it an extra push tonight. All right, let's get into our topicality. Let's go to Spain. We've just talked about our Rioja tasting, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking about Spanish wines this year. I am going to go to Spain in November, and we do that every year. We really try anyway every year to do a trip. Thanksgiving weekend. So have Thanksgiving with your family, which is a Thursday. Friday, little football, little leftovers. Saturday, get on a plane. And Sunday, you meet me in Spain. And we're probably going to be starting in Bilbao and going across the northern part of Spain, hitting Ribera del Duero and Rioja, and a couple other little areas that we're talking to right now. So we've got a really fun trip being put together, and we only take about a dozen people on the trip. So I'd love to have you join us. In some news tonight, I just want to break from our slideshow for just a second and welcome some of the guests. Lisa, can I talk about your accomplishment tonight? Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa is now an Italian citizen. Is that dual citizenship, Lisa?
Dual citizenship. It'll take about a while for paperwork, but the court recognized it. So I would be having not any Spanish, but we're not yet tonight.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Well, I have met Lisa in Italy and know her love of all things Italian. And so I'm very pleased that you were able to get that accomplished. And I know you've got some big retirement plans out there in Italy at some point. So you're making great headway. Beautiful. So congratulations, Lisa. All right. Let's.
Grazie.
No problem. My pleasure. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to visit you in Italy. All right. So Spain, though, I do love to travel, and I've been very fortunate to be able to do some great travel and pushing myself to go all over the place. Tend not to repeat the same trip. So when we go to Spain, we did it about 10 years ago now. We took a path. Well, very few of the same appointments will be kept, but we're going to kind of mix it up with some different cities. There's just so much to see, so many producers to meet, so much to learn, and so these Zooms really help me look in on the map of Spain with new eyes and see different opportunities. Now, Spain is vast. And if you flew into Barcelona and you tried to drive to Madrid, you know how long that takes. That is not like a trip to Vegas. That is like you're going to Canada, maybe even further. It's 14 hours to make that drive. I know that's what it took me. I was in no hurry, but it's a long, slow trip, kind of flat, not too exciting. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. We're going to be flying in. We can actually fly into Bilbao, and that's why we're probably going to be starting there. And we're going to plot our course now. If you're interested in finding out more about the trip, you can just sign up at learnaboutwine.com. You'll see our trips on there. We're starting to publish 2024 trips, and you can just sign up for the interest list, and we'll just let you know as news is coming out. But our first wine is something different. And we did show this wine about maybe 8 months, almost a year ago, in last year's Stars of Spain. And this year we're doing Stars of Rioja. So I wanted to kind of come back to this wine again because it's such a unique wine. And it isn't, I mean, you see it in your glass now. This wine is picking up some steam in the form of color and oxidation, and it is getting almost orange in the glass. If any of you have it in your glass and you want to bring it on screen, I'd love to show it off. I am sitting at the LA County Fair, where I'm a wine judge in the LA wine competition. And I do have the wines with me today. Here is the first wine that we're going to be having. Emily, do you have the wines with you today? All right. How's that smell? You like it?
I do. I expected it to be a lot more oxidized based on the color, but it's super floral, honeysuckle.
Yeah.
Almost smells like a Malvasia Bianca.
Ooh, I like that. This grape variety isn't typically this aromatic. I think that it is in a state, in its condition, its age, and its where it's at and its arc, that it's really putting on some very interesting character in the nose, and it's just really fun and advanced. And I would love to have this at dinner. I can count 0 restaurants in anywhere that have this wine on the list. It is just super geeky. The importer is small. It's actually a pretty famous guy who makes the wine, but the importer is just not getting a lot of traction with a single vineyard Arian. So we're going to look at it again because I really like it. Arian is one of the most planted grape varieties on the planet, but it's not a grape variety that a lot of people have heard of for wine. It is often made into brandy, and it's often made into medical grade alcohol. So it's planted in a lot of spots, but this particular winemaker name is Alejandro Fernandez. He doesn't see any project that he doesn't necessarily want to conquer, and he loves what he can do with this particular vineyard and this particular grape variety. And he runs a really successful brand called Pesquera del Duero. Pesquera is a top scoring red wine producer, and the family name is fairly legendary. And Alejandro led that until he passed. His family is still in charge, and this vintage was one of his last efforts. So it's kind of a sentimental wine as well, because this was one of his last wines he was able to finish before his passing. And this is a look at the vineyard. These are bush vines. They're There's no trellising system. They grow very low to the ground. And on the right, that's a little more of a traditional vineyard, but the wine that we're tasting today is the picture on the left. And then we've got some wonderful oak barrel facility that the winery keeps all of their treasured reds in. But this wine also sees time in wood barrel. Let's take a look at his note here. He is a Tempranillo kind of guru, but he does make wines from other different grape varieties, and Arian is one of the more planted grape varieties in La Mancha. La Mancha is massive. This is where you get your Manchego cheese, and not very many people would even make a wine at this price point, this level. It's potentially made in a little more of a volume type of effort, whereas this is a super high quality effort, and he really is proud of this wine. So the family continues the tradition. The 2016 was not the last time this was made, but if given the choice to buy a 15 or to buy a 2020, which is fresh and new, I'd love to be able to pick up on some of the advancement that this wine is showing. It's got that, it comments here about apricot, vanilla bean, honey, and creme brulee. I think those are pretty good descriptive words, especially in the state that it's in here. But with those descriptions, you might think it's going to be a sweet wine. There is nothing sweet about this wine. It is absolutely drilling with acidity, so good for food, and just really fun on the nose. And that there's a really clean, beautiful, high acid type of an environment here that's going to cleanse your palate. This is $29.95, and big scoring, beautiful effort. I think $30 a bottle to be able to take something out like this for dinner that even a sommelier in a restaurant would be like, oh, what? And they would be very interested, because this guy's name is also pretty synonymous with greatness in Spanish wine. So a really special wine, especially around here, and just wanted to bring it back into play. I can get a couple more cases of the 15. So if we sell those last couple bottles, we will keep it in stock and keep going. And I love it. Any comments from my team out there? We got some folks from all over the country joining us tonight. Alonzo, good to have you on the Zoom tonight with Lahoma. Did I pronounce the names right?
You did. Nice to be
Yes.
back.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, I remember you guys.
Yes.
What time is it in New York?
It's 10 o'clock.
10:23.
It's funny. We just dozed off on the couch.
Before the wine.
Well,
I
very
like
good.
and so we got up on time.
This will wake you up, right? This one
Yeah.
right here.
Yes.
You said you like the smell, right? Al?
Oh yeah, the smell is good. Yeah, this wine.
Mhm. The Casarinos are on the Zoom. We've got Natalie joining us. Natalie, how's your weather? We are all in California starting to invest in arcs. How are you?
We're not getting any, well, I can't say we're not getting any precipitation, but pretty light on the precipitation. We've been fluctuating between bitter cold 20s, and then 2 days later it's 60, and now today it's back to like 38. And it's just like the back and forth is nuts. I'm ready for spring.
Wow. Yeah, I need to let everybody know. I should take a picture of what our office looks like right now, because as a retailer, we can't even ship wine in these temperatures across the US. And we are getting pretty damn inventive of, how to store this wine that's backing up in our warehouse. It is kind of comical though. We almost have to act like we're burrowing into our office, going through catacombs of wine in box. So it's a good problem to have, but I can see the end coming. We'll be shipping a lot in the next couple of weeks. It's starting to look like spring is coming, and the temperature ranges across the US are starting to adjust. Right. I got some nice feedback on this first wine. I love it. I would love to have this with, this type of time of the year. If I were going to have like some stuffed bird, chicken, stuffed, kind of game bird, hen, you could have it with turkey, but I think a little more fatty richness might be nice. But I'm a big fan right now in Los Angeles. Found this little butcher shop that it's actually in Santa Monica, Lisa, right on Wilshire Boulevard, Santa Monica Boulevard, about 18th or 19th Street. It's a little teeny butcher shop, and he brines the chickens, and they're all super high quality, restaurant quality chickens. And the meat just is so delicious and so tender with his brine. And so we've been roasting a lot of chicken, and this would go so great. And I do this really cool little celery, it's kind of a celery saute type of thing with some celery root and some celery together, and having some fun with that. Because you can buy this big damn thing with celery root and the celery stalks attached to it. What are you going to do with it? So I put it all together, and I'm having fun with that. And it's a great base to, I just kind of stuff the chicken with the celery that's sauteed, chopped up, put it in the bird, and then I make celery root puree. And it's a pretty fun combo.
I love that shop, a cut above.
Cut above, that's the one.
I've been there. Yeah, they're great.
That chicken, it's just a couple more bucks than buying a chicken in a grocery store, like a nice chicken. Just a couple bucks. And the quality is,
Yeah, it's all free range. They're happy. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not alive anymore, but they were happy.
yeah, they were, I mean, the bird doesn't look like it was manufactured either. It looks like it was hand done.
Yeah.
And they tie it all up and clean it all up. It's just really nice.
Mm.
Highly recommended. And this would be a great pairing for that. All right, let's move into wine number 2, because we've got 6 wines to taste tonight. And, in the spirit of that we're doing some pretty kind of crazy tastings all over the place. Some of them are getting a little expensive. I also wanted to kind of come in with a really good value tonight, because these are great wines. And then you put in the fact that they're very affordable. So we're able to get the kits out all over the place for a very good price. Take a look at some of our future tastings. You'll see quite a different set of pricing. But our next wine, we're going to back up into northern Spain. Get that out for us. And this is like one of my favorite grape varieties now, no matter what country I'm talking about or presenting. I'm kind of looking for opportunities to turn people on to Godello. This grape variety has been growing in popularity for the last couple of years. I've had different moments in my web evolution that we've had quite a few different Godello. I'm probably as light on Godello as I've maybe ever been, but we are going to be getting some new items in soon. We're right in kind of a vintage transition. The 21s are starting to come in, so I'm waiting for the 21s. But this is in stock right now, just a few bottles left. It is also owned by Kune, and that's how you pronounce that, CVNE. It looks kind of strange, but that's Basque, and it's pronounced Kune. But they're a really important Rioja-based brand, but they make amazing Albarino, just not too far away from where this wine comes from, and then this spectacular Godello as well. As this slide kind of backs up and supports. Yeah, they're in Rioja Alta, and they're established in 1879. And I'm a big believer in the brand and the style, and quite a few of their wines that I taste are just at the top of the food chain, no matter what grape variety we're talking about. So here's a look at the Kune facility. This is the barrel room. This barrel room is massive. They do make a significant amount of wine. And remember, Rioja doesn't make wine for the local population. There really is no local population. So they have to make wine for the world. And when you make wine for the world, you need efficiencies. So they're making a pretty sizable amount of wine. Now, what picture I'm not able to show you here because my laptop got stolen a few years ago, but when I went to Kune, I was able to go to the storage facility, which has the wine in bottle, and it is stacked to the sky. And I think you could probably land a plane inside of it. And in fact, the storage facility for their bottled wine and to aging facility was so large that it actually had its own weather. It was literally precipitating inside of their warehouse. They have control systems and stuff, but they keep it very humid to be able to slow any possible evaporation in bottle, and to keep things very cool. So this thing is just an immense operation, and they have a lot of expertise at running such a large venue. So this is Maruxa, and it is 100% grapes that have been handpicked. It is 100% from Menthia. That is the place, and Godello's grape. Sorry, Godello is the grape here, and we are in Valdelores, which is in that northern corner of Spain, very nearby Ria Spacious. Here is a look at the wine on our website at $20.95. We just have about a case of this wine remaining. And let's taste it together and get some input. I'm using Coravin. Because what we do here at the LA wine competition is we taste today. I tasted 150 to 160 wines today. Tomorrow we'll do 250. And then tomorrow night, when we're done, because we'll be finished, we all show up with different bottles of wine. I'm going to bring this little Spanish flight with me tomorrow night to a little dinner party. We end up doing karaoke until about 2 a.m, and we have some great bonding. And there's wine educators, winemakers here from all over the world. So it's a really incredible opportunity to connect. They're all having dinner right now. They know I'll be coming right after this Zoom. But they're also getting a little presentation tonight from a particular couple of wineries that wanted to talk to the room and help pay for the dinner. The first thing I pick up on the nose of this wine is almost like a little bit of a matchstick. Like you just struck a match. Which I think is kind of cool. It can be a little some folks might not enjoy that so much, but in winemaking, we don't mind that so much. It does tend to blow off, and you do tend to get into the wine here in just a second. Modelo has a little more roundness and texture and weight. I would put it in kind of the direction of Chardonnay. I wouldn't compare it to Chardonnay. And somewhere, got kind of the roundness and creaminess and texture of maybe like a Chenin Blanc. But it's bone dry. It has a lot of nuance of its place, its stony place. It is grown in the same place that we make Mencia, and that these wines are still kind of coming on in their popularity. But if you go to a Spanish restaurant, Spanish tapa, Godello, Mencia are really, kind of wines of the future. They think of them like Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. They tend to grow in the same place, kind of cooler places, but they really focused on the stony minerality part. I've had wine from this area from Paul Hobbs. I've had wine from this area from a number of other producers that make Godellos, but this is the main wine in our store, the Cune Maruxa. And I'd love to hear what you think. Is that a little bit of a matchstick still shining bright in your glass? Can you smell that still?
Ian, what gives wine that aroma?
So I think in this bottling here, I think it was a little bit of time in a wood barrel, and potentially a little bit of sulfuring at bottling. That the combination of the two kind of give that off that aromatic. I will say that it's a little bit more pronounced in the bottle that I have here with me tonight than I think the bottle that I sent out to all of you guys. But it can be a little bit more bottle to bottle, and the way that it kind of acts in the glass can kind of take over. But is it pretty significant in yours?
No, not terribly, but I did notice it a little bit on the nose.
Yeah. It's kind of a signature of a couple of houses, like in Burgundy. The La Flave wines all kind of start off with that. And it's kind of like a mark of, the wine, how the wine spent time in a fairly expensive new wood. And it's not sulfury like a rotten egg or anything like that, but it has just a little hint of that kind of that matchstick, that burnt match, that's kind of that just that flame that just went out on the matchstick. That's what I smell there, and that could be a part of the barrel toast and just a part of how that wine is received as it comes out of the cask and into the bottle. I had it a little more prevalent in my 17 Zinfandel when I bottled it. It was just kind of a nuance that I was enjoying from that particular vintage. I didn't try to avoid it, and kind of over time has matured out. I'm not sure if what will happen with this wine from here forward, but this wine is a 2019, 2 years old. I think this wine can age 5, 6, 7 years, and I'm sure that this element will still be a part of the wine. But if it's something you enjoy, which I do, a little bit can be all right. If it takes over the wine, it's a flaw, and it should just be something that you notice and you kind of taste around after a little period of time.
Ian, I'm not super familiar with this grape. Is this a characteristic, is the sulfurness a characteristic of this grape or of this region? That I guess I'm also wondering if maybe some of it comes from the soil that the grape
Yeah,
is
no,
grown
it's
in.
definitely a minerality thing.
Mhm.
There's a lot of schist and granite and all the different types of stone that, you know, is a rocky, rugged hillside. And that's where you're getting most of that from. The sulfur that I mentioned at bottling, you can just kind of capture that little bit of that freshness, and sometimes the sulfur kind of blows off. This wine just smells a little bit more like granite and schist at this time, and just a little bit of that fresh toasted barrel. I just get a little bit of that. I'm pretty sure that's what we've got here. But yeah, this is super rocky type of zone, and that's playing through in the wine. And that's why Godello and Menthia are two really interesting wines, because these are pretty extreme vineyards, really steep, really stony. And they allow the varieties, Godello and Menthia, both allow that minerality to come really front and center. They're not juicy, jammy, hyper ripe. They're almost Burgundian in the way they present themselves. Subtle, slightly creamy, very terroir driven. And I'm excited by the category. I love tasting everybody's Godello and everybody's little touch to it. When Paul Hobbs did it, he puts a little bit of extra oomph on the wood. Here, it's not oaky. It just has the presence of wood and that textural thing, and then a little bit of a nose thing that I'm capturing from it. So interesting wine. Initially seemed floral, but completely changed, Kathy says. Good to hear that, Kathy. Yeah, it's a really interesting varietal. I think temperature can kind of affect it a little bit too, and the way we perceive and receive the information. My wines are almost exactly at room temperature, kind of like where I like to taste them. But if I were going to serve this maybe with a cuisine or food, I might bring it down in temperature just a little bit more and give it a little bit more or a little less of that aromatic content, because as you do bring wine down in temperature, the aromatics actually kind of get quieter. And so when I'm tasting them at room temperature, pretty high and haughty type of thing coming off the top of the nose.
Ian, Al said, this one gets the party started. So I guess to what you were saying, I'm tasting high alcohol content. I think initially, I was tasting or smelling the apple notes. I don't know if there's any in this.
Yeah.
That caught my nose and taste. And of course, more swirling really brought it to life. And I love that the oak barrel room, stunning to just see how those barrels were. To your point that I'm sure it has influenced the taste. The whatever type of material they had at the bottom was like very beautiful. So who knows what that's all doing to bring in some.
Once we put the wine in the wood barrels, and they could be large wood, it could be small oak barrel. Wine like this probably was fermented in a large container, probably stainless steel or concrete. They would move it to a vat to age for a short period of time. And in this particular situation here, the minerality is super present. There might also allow some of the yeast and solids of the wine to kind of be present for a while, extending out the lees contact. The lees are the solids that settle to the bottom of the tank. They might even stir them back in and build up this wine with a little batonnage, they call it, just to kind of add some complexity. I'm not 100% sure that that's what we have here, but I do really appreciate the way this wine is presenting itself. I think it's delicious. I think it's round and creamy. It's $20 a bottle, has a lot of complexity at that price point. And this is one of the things I'm very bullish on is I think, you shouldn't have to go to a Spanish restaurant to drink great Spanish wine. I think these wines really could be front and center at any type of a restaurant and added to a nice world mix of whites, because there's so much value. Even in a top restaurant, if they were to charge, their 3 to 4 times, which is what a restaurant normally charges, this wine might be between $60 and $75 a bottle on a restaurant wine list, and be something you could really enjoy with a great cuisine. I just got finished writing a wine list in Hollywood for a restaurant at a building called the Astor. It's called Lemon Grove. They have a beautiful rooftop dining room, and I put little interesting wines from all over the world on this list. If you're looking for a great patio rooftop view, it's a spectacular restaurant. The cuisine is very casual. Whole roasted chicken is one of the items that they really have perfected there. The chef won Top Chef competition on television. His last name is Bourguignon, and he has this amazing lemon pasta, which is actually a vegan dish. He uses tahini and lemon with this amazing pasta that he makes in-house. And I wouldn't necessarily always reach out for a vegan dish. It's not necessarily, but the server said this is one of our signature dishes. So I said, how about we each order an entree. My brother and he ordered one, I ordered one, and we shared a lemon pasta. And it was a really cool night out. And I think this is a type of place that I would love to have a Godello like this. Let's move into our next wine. I'm going to be opening up it's called Microcosmico, and it is a really cool white wine from a producer that I buy quite a bit of wine from now. We're over near the Rioja region, kind of the northern Basque area. We're looking at a grape called Macabeo. It is the primary grape of white Rioja, but we're just outside the Rioja zone here. And let me show you the next slide. Here's a look at the bottle. They did change the bottle shape. They went from the tall shouldered bottle to more of a soft shoulder bottle. Even inside of a vintage. So I'm not sure how what decision they had to make there, but the producer's called Frontonio. Really a prestigious dude. His name is Fernando Mora. He is a master of wine, and he's now numbering the bottles on the label, which wasn't there before either. And this is from a single estate. Now, this winery really started off making some different stuff in small batches, and Macabeo is a pretty important grape in Spain, but not often made as a white or dry wine, still white. It is very famous for being a sparkling wine called Cava. This is the official grape of Cava, Macabeo. It resists oxidation. Just got it in the glass here. And Frontonio has been really into helping find some small little vineyards. They don't necessarily own a lot of land. They've got contracts with small families, but they've come in and helped these families farm better, and have been improving the farming, making better grapes that they could buy, the better wines that they're going to make. And this guy, Fernando Mora, really passionate master of wine, is working with a famous enologist from Bodega Borisau. And so it's a really good team. You got a master of wine and Bodega Borisau kind of coming together to find these little vineyards, little pocket vineyards, and to make something special out of them, making something out of nothing, basically, because these small family farms were just getting ignored. They might not even be selling their fruit. They were probably making wine for, the locals, but there was no real brand, no real destination for some of these vineyards. And some of them are really spectacular. Some of them are really old vines. Here's a look at a couple of shots here. And you can see these old head trained vineyard vines, no trellising system, just bushes. Some of them are 60, 70, 80 years old. There's some elevation here, which is cool, 2,300 feet in the altitude. This particular vineyard has got some low soils, limestone, and then of course some schist. They've got north-facing slopes, so afternoon sun, so you're able to get something with a little higher acid and a little less ripeness when you're picking north-facing slopes. Described as lemon and grapefruit with mineral austerity, restrained smoky aromatics. It's a clean style with extraordinary macabeo coming from old vines and dry farms. That means no water. Okay. Again, this is a bottle of wine, single vineyard, farmed organically, master of wine, top winemaker, helping finish the wines, cool label, small producer, $20. It's a lot of wine for the money. Smell that again. You get some really pretty, zippy citrus at the top.
I like that it has a nice, clean, fresh taste, like cleansing of the palate.
It's definitely a little more heft in tasting order. We're doing it the right way. Moving from something with some nice age and fun development, but it's pretty lean and pretty high in acid, to the Godello, a little rounder, a little creamier, a little more weight. And then here we get something significantly richer. There's a little more fruit present in the front, a little more of a fresh profile, a little less of an oxidative profile, and the minerality here is at play, but I really get this wonderful fruit and zestiness and zippiness from the kind of that citrus profile. It's not quite as citrusy as, say, like a Sauvignon Blanc, but it definitely plays in that Albarino, Sancerre, Pinot Grigio kind of zone, and yet has a little bit more weight and richness to it. This wine can age pretty well. And in Bordeaux, they can even leave this wine in wood for a long period of time. And you can actually make a Grand Reserva white Bordeaux, and they come out kind of crazy, almost orangish, round, from oxidation, time spent in wood. This wine didn't see any wood. It's bottled without that oak expression. And I really enjoy the way this wine's presenting itself. We'll move back into our slideshow and our next wine number 4. Can you see my slideshow right now? Is it appearing?
Yeah,
I don't see my little screen lighting up, so I'm gonna go back in, do it again. There we go. From the same producer, we're going to taste some Garnacha, and this is from Campo de Borja. This is one of my best-selling wines in our website. This is a simpler wine. It's a lower cost item. I sell this wine for under $12, and how you can get a really nice little bottle of wine all the way from Spain to California for me to be able to sell in my retail store under $12 is kind of a mystery to me, but that's what we got here. And I probably have bought and sold 50 cases of this wine over the last couple of years. It's the brand has impressed me. I've got my trust. We move from vintage to vintage, and I just continue to buy it. It continues to over deliver. It is meant to be a practical wine. It's not trying to achieve, greatest wine you've ever had, but I do think it's one of the best values that I can find. And there's just an abundance of old vine Garnacha in Spain available for the wineries to. Some of these vines are almost untended, so it's kind of like a mystery. How much wine were they making at what point in time? Because there's just all these kind of old abandoned vineyards, and some of them are being nursed back to health, and that's kind of where this brand kind of comes in and helps families get it done. Again, we're up at Campo de Borja, which is just outside of Navarra and Rioja, up at the top there. Same team. Again, Master of Wine, Fernando Mora with Mario Lopez, the enologist from Bodega Borasao. And Frontonio has been kind of growing their fingerprint on the marketplace. They're brought in by an importer called WineWise, and that really is great at finding significant values in kind of underappreciated areas. I don't have a spit bucket tonight. Something I didn't think through in the room after drinking 150 wines tonight or today. So I'm drinking all of these. There's nothing to even pour it into. I'd have to get up and run all the way into the bathroom. So we're not going to do that. We'll just drink it. Garnacha, grown in many parts of the world, is actually one of the most planted grape varieties on the planet. It's the backbone of the Southern Rhone of wines like Côte Rhone, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and they call it Grenache. We've got it extensively planted all over California. There's Grenache planted in Australia, where they make GSMs, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre blends. So Grenache is really an important grape worldwide. It is not necessarily known to need to be high in color extract. And in fact, this one's very light in color. And that has a lot to do with the fact that this wine does, keep this wine the price point that it's in. There's no wood used here. And one of the primary benefits of using a wood barrel that a lot of people don't think about is evaporation. And evaporation helps exaggerate color, encourages the thicker, darker, more powerful wines. Of course, you get a little bit of that vanilla in the nose, but here they're not picking necessarily super low yielding vineyards. These are older vines, and they're doing something in a gentle way to allow for early consumption. Before we go to our next wine, which is a bigger, more powerful, higher alcohol version of Spain, I'd love to get your feedback on this simple little Garnacha, and if you like it. It's okay to say something if you don't like it either.
I like it. It gets to the point. Yeah.
Nice.
Dangerously easy to drink.
Mhm, yes.
It's got a fun little, you might focus in on the fruitiness or the kind of fresh cracked black pepper that you get from Grenache. It's pretty simple, but has a fun, easy to drink. You can actually even chill this wine down a little bit and drink it all year round. It's a great summer red. And you almost treat it like a white wine with that temperature. But it's just very practical and easy to enjoy. Not so high in alcohol. As the attempt here is to make something that's fun, around 14%. And a lot of Grenache wines will push the upper limits of what you can even do with fermentation. And we're gonna see that in our next wine. Let's go to wine number 5. So at Frontonio, got the winemaker from this brand, Bodega Borisau, working with Master Wine, and they're using those old vine vineyards, small little pocket vineyards owned by small families, where they're helping the farming, etc. At Borisau, these guys own vineyards, and they bought some really impressive blocks. And 30 years ago, they started coming into America with just some knockout wine value propositions that just turned the world on its head and said, whoa, Spain is bringing in some very interesting wine for not a lot of money. Now, these wines have crept up in price, but this wine, when I first learned about it in the late 90s, this wine was under $10, maybe $7.95 in the store. And it was getting big scores, 91, 92, 93, 94 points for a bottle of wine that was under $10. Now this wine's up around $15 now, but $15 in today's dollars versus the 1990s isn't such a massive price increase. And this is a nice blend of Grenache, Syrah, and Masuela, which is one of the Rioja grape varieties. The arrow is going to, we just have a map. I got worried what map. This is going to be our last one. Maybe she doesn't have any slides for me on this particular wine. This is a Borisau. Let me just check. I'm going to break out of this real quick and see what happened to my slideshow, because I know there was a couple more slides there. Hold on a second. Yeah, she just put it in the wrong order. Okay. So here's the Borisau, founded in 1958. Of course, doing business with Spain didn't become very practical until the 1990s, after years of real repressive totalitarian dictatorships. Business started to flow in the early 1990s, and a lot of businessmen went over and started to really take advantage of some of the opportunities that were there. This particular producer was able to secure a really beautiful set of hilltop vineyards, 60-year-old sites. You can see the iron-rich soils that these vines grow in. Look at how the viticulture here. You're looking at almost like bonsai type of viticulture, bringing those vines back to just this what they look like right about now. You're going to start seeing a little the vines start to push out some leaf And then eventually some buds will start to form, and you're going to see, the vine start to grow some canopy. Borisau is state of the art. Around the 1990s, they really got some great investment, and they built this really amazing winemaking facility. They are not shy on the ripeness level. They go for it, bigger, more ripe, more rich. They use a combination of French and American oak, and they use a good amount of it. You got that more exaggerated, darker color. It says 55 Grenache, 39 Syrah, and 6 Mazuela on the back of the bottle here. Really cool, kind of leafy, black olive. Get things like almost like jamon, the smell of Iberico ham in the nose. This is a lot of wine, and a great price, $13.95. This absolutely smokes most. I mean, you could not even get close to this wine in California. $13.95, being able to make a wine from 60-year-old vines that look like, bonsai, and then they put a judicious amount of time in making this wine in wood barrel. This vintage, by the way, is 2016. This wine is 6 years old, and it's really got this cool, fun nose that that time has been able to produce. Kind of almost a little bit smoky, a little bit, it's lots of spices. Wow, there's all kinds of spice nuance, pepper. Then you get all that vanilla kind of, but it's all integrated now at that 6-year mark. Man, it's been a while since I've tasted this wine. And this wine is my bottle is showing really, really good here. I hope you guys are enjoying that as well. And that one's called Cabriola. We also carry their old vine Grenache on the site. It's a whopping $1 more, and it's one of the best-selling wines in America. It's called Tres Picos. But there's so much competition. They want to be able to make large volumes of wine for that cost efficiency. The prices, they keep pushing those prices into the pocket where they can get it, and they're kind of left alone at $15 because we just can't make anything at that price point. And I think their competition is Côte d'Aron, and Côte d'Aron may even have a hard time competing with this wine because of this is a 2016, 6 years old. The time is money. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're into having, I remember being in not at Borisau, but at a neighboring property, where the family probably made all their food from their own garden, their own farm, and they grilled some lamb chops on some vine cuttings. They brought the vine cuttings in, put them in the fireplace. They were kind of wrapped up real tight, almost looked like logs, but they were just little vine cuttings. They stacked them in the fireplace. They got the fire blazing. They had this like little basket type of thing where they put the cut lamb chops into the basket, put it over the fire, turned it over, and it was kind of like a mesh screen. I thought that is the best way ever to cook lamb chops. And we had it with this like olive tapenade and this tomato salad they made from their garden with eggplant. It was just a magical little lunch, little Mediterranean style lunch. And we drank some great Grenache that day with the lamb chops. And that's what I would recommend for this as well. Moving into wine number 6, we're going to change and step up to a wine in a little different area. I'm going to go back to the map, which was out of place here. We're going over here to Montsant. This is right outside of Barcelona. Pretty reachable from Barcelona to get to Montsant. Very rigorous terrain, very hilly, lots of very mineral rich soils. This mountainous kind of high altitude, steep hillside vineyards. They grow a number of different varietals, some of them typical to Spain like Grenache, but they have also brought in grapes like Carignan and Syrah, some Cabernet, some Merlot, and you could use any of these in a Montsant-based wine. This is on the outside of this kind of hilly zone. On the inside is a region called Priorat. And here, the property that we're going to taste today is called Venus La Universal. And this is owned by Sarah Perez and Rene Barbier Jr. Mr. Barbier is the son of the owner of a very famous Priorat producer called Clos Mogador. Just genius wines at Mogador, top of the food chain type stuff, $200 a bottle, 100-point wines. And he and his wife own this set of vineyards in Montsant. Well, in Mogador and others, they do things in a very traditional way. And like the kids of any hardcore parents, they don't necessarily want to do it the same way that their parents do. So when Rene Barbier reports to his day job at Mogador as the assistant winemaker, he has to do things the way his father wants them done. But then he goes home to La Universal, and everything on his property is done natural fermentations, natural yeast, and a really protected little environment that they've created for this Venus La Universal project. This is a smaller producer, not quite the same reputation as Mogador. The pricing is a much softer, more practical, but they're building the brand. And I will also just kind of show you the package really quick. Every bottle's finished with this really nice light wax. It comes off very easily. And you can actually go right through it. I go right through it with a Corvin, and everything is very artistic here. This is a 2018. All the soils here are granite soils, and you're getting a really profound expression of these grape varieties here. See, I just did something wrong. Get you into the PowerPoint. There we go. You can see the pictures. Here's an overview of the wine. A blend, predominance of Grenache, Merlot, Cabernet, and Syrah. Ten hectares of weathered granite. Fermentations occur with unselected yeast. That means native yeast. That means natural yeast. Unselected. They didn't go in and add the yeast of their choice. On the other hand, the maceration is rather short. The aging, which lasts 9 months, is partly in clay jars and partly in concrete tanks. We're looking at $27.95, so it's a pretty big step up in price point, but this is getting into the serious side of wine, kind of culty level producer. The area, Monsant's not super expensive yet, but it's getting there. Priorat is expensive. Priorat makes, 3 figures for a Priorat is pretty common. But lots of work. The vineyards are very low yielding. The cost of doing business in Priorat's pretty high because you're way out in the middle of nowhere with not a lot of infrastructure, doing everything by hand because you can't get machines in there, and it's all granite, so it's very unforgiving soil. And I got some notes here. Here we go. A lot of the same things we just covered. All right, let's taste it together. I just had the pleasure of tasting with Renee Barbier, who was in Los Angeles about a week ago. Another reason why I love living in LA is that, a lot of big wine personalities actually come through LA. And I was in a good position to be able to go and see him and taste through a lot of the wines. Wow, there's some exciting stuff that he works with, and he and his father work with, and he and his wife make all of these Venus La Universal wines. And I've carried a couple of them, and I got a couple more coming into the store. When you get that glass close to your nose, you can really start to smell that granite soil, that minerality. Here it's about a pretty warm spot, higher in elevation. They can really get some warmth and some ripeness here. It's not uncommon for these wines to push 14.5 alcohol, but this one's on the back label says 13.5. It says it in a couple of places, so there's a wonderful stemmy, and I believe he uses some stem inclusion. So I get a little bit of that stemmy kind of dried herb that you would get from stem inclusion. Thyme, bay leaf, rocky. These soils can really add some fantastic kind of smoky mineral tones to the wine. And then at this altitude, you're getting more concentrated berries, and you're getting more chewy, more intensive tannins and structure. But this is a wine that's made for you to enjoy right now. And I think it's a really brilliant choice. I love wines. I love to find, first of all, I think finding wines that you enjoy under $20 is a lot more challenging than finding more expensive wines that you enjoy. You don't have to like everything I showed you tonight. I did, but You don't have to agree with me. That's not part of the program here. But I do love to kind of share my passion for some ideas to help expand the way we think about some of these things. I love finding wines that over deliver. And I really think that if you get close to that $30 a bottle mark, you can typically see this kind of big jump that we just saw. I mean, we had some really nice wines under 20 bucks. And then we just jumped into a wine that's pretty much a $30 bottle. And you can really feel it, smell it, taste it, a little bit more impactful. And that's why I created a wine club. It's three bottles a month. It's about 90 bucks a month, so that I can play around between $25 and $40 a bottle and find some stuff and send it to you as kind of a fun idea. So if you want more interest, go to Merchant of Wine, look at my little wine club, 90 bucks a month. There's shipping on top of that. We had it at one point in time at a little more expensive to include shipping, but I was getting destroyed. So we just took the shipping off, made it 90 bucks. Shipping is what it is. California, if you buy a couple more bottles, you can get it for $10 in California. As long as we can ship over $100, it's 10 bucks to ship in California. If you're in LA, you get the order over $100 a month, and then the shipping is free. We deliver. In New York, it's brutal, and I apologize to you guys, Alonzo, Homa, but man, you can't. We basically charge exactly
Costs, yeah,
what we pay.
yeah.
I feel bad for New York, but the situation in New York is that New York makes it expensive to ship to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I had it delivered to my job today, of course, to make sure that I didn't miss it. And I also tried to see if I could use, my account at work, the, FedEx or UPS, but because of the special delivery of alcohol, that is not standard for corporate. So, oh well. You got us, Ian. We're fans. We're joining you next month. So,
awesome.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
We appreciate this. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Well, it's nice to have New York represented. A really important place but often New York gets cut out because it is so expensive to ship to. And I see people in our store, in the abandoned cart department. They're like, "Oh, they've got that wine. I want to buy it. How much is it to ship? Oh my God." But that's literally our cost. And it's crazy what the costs have become for shipping, but it is what it is, like you said. But I'm very appreciative that you're all here tonight. Thank you so much. We've had friends in Japan listening on board tonight, and Northern California, Los Angeles, all over the place. Emily, where's home for you?
Redondo Beach,
Cool. I like
the far reaches of Los Angeles.
Yeah, the depths. I like your artwork in the background there. It looks very wine inspired. Is that a wine rack?
It is a wine rack. Joel assembled that. It's a bunch of different pieces, and it holds corks and special bottles.
How fun. You guys can market that.
Well, wineenthusiast.com markets it much better than we can.
Wow, I haven't seen that, but it's nice. It looks really good. I like the cork thing too. It's fun. It's like little memories.
Yeah, well, it's funny because people ask if we bought all those corks as decorations. It's like, no,
Yeah.
we drink them all.
They're like your military stripes on your shirt. Natalie, did you have any favorites tonight?
I'm really enjoying this last one right now. But 4, I loved how I don't know, it was like a big transition, right, from the whites to the reds, but I just loved how it popped. And I do, when I get it, I put all of them in the fridge just to, keep them nice and fresh. And so it was still just slightly chilled. So, and I love that. I love that with that one, but 6 is probably my ultimate favorite.
Yeah. And number 4, at that chilled temperature, kind of acts a little bit almost like Beaujolais. It's kind of got that light and minerally and earthy. And at that cool temperature, it kind of acts like Beaujolais. I've used it for just that reason. So yeah, I think 4 is
One was 4. 4 had the
yeah, that's the El Castero.
okay.
The label's actually a little different than what we had. I think it just had 1 little badge. Now it's got 3.
Okay.
It's a nice package. And it's just a little wine that it's like the little wine that could for $12.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat the price. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
Ian, for the last wine, you mentioned that, what other kinds of wines do they make in that line? You mentioned that you had possibly some more coming in. Is it all reds? Is it a variety?
So they're the wine that moved me the most actually is their white. And it's under a different name. I'm not sure why. I got to find out. But it's also owned by the family. But I think it just wanted to separate it out as a separate brand. It's a white wine special brand. And so I'll have that sometime in the next couple of weeks. I think I'm just waiting for it to clear customs. And we'll make some noise with our emails about that. But the white wine is Grenache Gris, and it's wild. It just has crazy character, and I'm pretty excited about it. I kind of mouth watering even thinking about it.
Is Grenache Gris a relative of Grenache Blanc?
Yeah. So very similar to Grenache Blanc. It's literally like the gray version of Grenache, and then there's Grenache Noir, Grenache Blanc, Grenache Gris. And so and they do a little bit of barrel fermentation on it, and it's got all that minerality and kind of excited level of ripeness and concentration. So look for that one. And then I probably even still have another wine from them on our website right now. I've purchased the wine called Venus. I'm not sure if I have any more left or not, but I always try to have, I have a kind of a rule on the buying for the website. I try to buy 1 wine per wine producer, because when we are going through the store, it's very easy for us to pick the wrong one if we buy 2 or 3. But these guys always kind of break the rule a little bit because the labels are so different. It's easier to avoid the chance of picking the wrong wine for the order. And I don't always do the order picking myself, so I have to kind of trust my team to guess the right wine and pick the right wine. But their labels are very colorful. They're really playful. They're very artistic, as they are very artistic people as well. And so I would look for any wine under the name La Universal and look for Venus on the website. If it's not there now, it'll be back soon. And then the white wine will be coming very, very soon as well. Well, I've enjoyed talking with you. I love talking about wine, and on a day like today, I apologize if I was a little long-winded, but I had 150 wines today, and it didn't take long for my alcohol system to kick back in. I'm feeling pretty well right now. Kathy, it was good to see you, and Gary, thanks for joining us. And
thank you.
all of you, hope you enjoyed the lineup.
We surely did.
Yeah.
I nursed that last one as long as I could.
Yeah,
Sleep a little better now.
Of course, just hope to get up in time for work.
You can blame me. I'll write you a note.
Ian, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good night, everyone.
Everything was good.
Good night.
Okay,
night.
bye-bye.
Great, thank you.
Ciao.